Well, as we head off to family or stay put to enjoy some rest or even just to contemplate the ending of another year, our celebrations are deeply affected by the year that has been when it comes to the extensive power cuts. Experts are counting 334 days and counting of load shedding, speculating that the New Year's toast will be done in the dark. Lungile Mashele is an independent energy economist and joins us now to discuss this dark ode to 2023, in which she concluded with the words, "Here's to a year of madness, here's to a brighter 2024. Lungile, I'm chuckling slightly. It's no laughing matter, certainly, but welcome to the program. It certainly was a depressing read, but that last line came from a Thomas Sankara quote about the only way to carrying out fundamental change is with a certain amount of madness. We'll get there in just a moment, but just share two highlights of the last year that contributed heavily to us staying in the dark.
So thank you so much for having me, and good evening to you and your viewers. The very first thing one needs to look at is the leadership, or rather the lack of leadership at Eskom over the last year. You might recall that the former CEO, Andre de Ruyter, resigned, in fact, just over a year ago in December. He left unceremoniously in February, couldn't even finish, the rest of his term until, March. And the DPE minister basically sat with a short list of names for months on end till the announcement was made for a new CEO only in December, just a week ago. For a country that has been brought to its knees by load shedding, you would think that the first prioritization would be a minister or in fact a CEO of the utility urgently to stabilize the what some would even deem like a sinking ship. However, this was not done. Then you had the Minister of Electricity coming in February to try and stabilize things. You might even recall there was a national state of disaster on electricity that was declared. So there have been so many things trying to resolve this one particular crisis, and we're nowhere better than where we were a year ago.
And just on the nowhere better than where we were a year ago, you write again and remind us about, Eskom breaking records, not of the kind that we would celebrate, but those that really show just how bad the situation is. When you talk about, trying to deal with adequately and responding to the problem in a way that is constructive, you remind us about that energy equipment donation that we got from China to the value of 167 million rand. You didn't write about it in very celebratory terms. Share that with our viewers.
I did not. 332 days of load shedding. The load shedding we experienced in 2023, cumulatively much worse than the load shedding we experienced for the 15 years preceding this. So absolutely catastrophic. Then you have what was declared unconstitutional on the 1st of December, which was load shedding. And the courts ruled that the Minister of Electricity needs to sort out the load shedding crisis by the 31st of January. Now, one would have relied on the generators which were delivered, about 450 generators, and the total donation came to about 167 million rand. Now, these generators are not even enough to power up my house. And my house is not massive, right? But they're not enough to power up just a normal house. These are not industrial scale generators. These are generators which are designated for schools, clinics, police stations. They're not sufficient at all. Over and above that, and I've been bemoaning this, is that you do not budget adequately for these places. So you put in a generator at a police station, the very next day it requires diesel. Where's this diesel going to come from? How are they going to procure diesel? We've been hearing stories of communities, of CPF, community policing forums, that have had to donate diesel, have had to donate fuel, just so that their police stations are operational during load shedding hours. It's a solution that is unsustainable. Over and above that, you've got companies that procure, and that not even procure, but that manufacture these generators locally. You could have used those companies and made sure that money circulates in our economy. That could have been an order for 450 generators. How many jobs would that have created? How much money would have circulated in our local economy?
You said that while the expectation is we would toast, to the new year in the dark, there are some signs of life. which you wrote about. Share that with us.
So, there has been a slight improvement in the planned capability loss factor, which is the planned maintenance. As I looked this afternoon, it was about 15%, which is the highest we've seen in the last 18 months. So it looks like Eskom is looking at this December period when demand is generally low to increase their maintenance as well. So that's a good thing. So that means that hopefully by next year, it will put us in good stead and we will not experience as severe load shedding in the months leading up to winter. So that's one thing. Also, the energy availability factor is certainly improving, albeit slightly. If I look at where it was a year ago, it was just over 50%. Today, it's sitting at about 55%. Eskom have given themselves a target to get this to 65% by 31st of March 2024. Personally, I would love to see them reach that target.
As would we all. Thank you very much for stopping by, Lungile. Appreciate it. Independent energy economist Lungile Mashele.